2 words, Revo Fitness. Here's a few more. Simple, 24/7, reformer Pilates, body scanners, massage chairs, squat racks, free weights, pin and plate loaded equipment, no lock-in contracts, no bullshit. All of that and more from just $9.69 a week. That's surprisingly affordable. Join now at Revo Fitness Northbridge or download the Revo Fitness app. RevoFitness.com.au or find the Revo Fitness app in the App Store.
The Nathan, Nat and Shaun podcast.
Well, we're so lucky to have David Croft, the voice of F1 in the studio. Now, Crofty's been over here a couple of times, been doing his show with Karoon, and we've never got to see you in here personally.
And do you know what? This is the best studio. It really is.
Really?
Yeah. It's like warm and comforting and cosy.
We need a few more screens, don't we?
We do need a few more screens. For some reason, I want to go and put some fuel in my car today.
Shell Ready Express everywhere.
So many adverts. I'm like a marketing man's dream. I really am.
Oh, no doubt. Hey, Crofty, clearly on the weekend when the Australian Grand Prix was leading up to it, the weather in Melbourne was awesome, right? And a lot of people were talking about how... my mates anyway, it hasn't rained here for so long, and geez, we've been so lucky. The weather's been fantastic.
Made up for it on Sunday, didn't we?
My God, talk us through that.
Typical Melbourne, that when you need the weather to be good, it's not.
As I said in the broadcast, Melbourne, 4 seasons in one day, welcome to winter.
Yeah.
And it went from being Perth-style beautiful to about 16 degrees. And it was cold and wet and damp, and Corinne Chandler got through 3 pairs of socks during the broadcast. And I was all snug in my commentary box, feeling very satisfied with life. But it was horrendous for the drivers because it hadn't rained for so long. The track got really greasy and slippery. We had one driver crash out even before the lights went out, and 14 finished only.
I just felt so sorry for him. Like, that was heartbreaking.
I mean, the heartbreak is his first race.
Yes.
He crashes out, he bursts into tears, and then his boss has a go at him for crying when he gets back to the paddock. Now,
and Lewis Hamilton's dad had to give him a hug.
How beautiful was that?
That was actually genuinely amazing. Yeah. What a gorgeous gesture. And then the boss is like...
Yeah, the boss is like, well, that's just so embarrassing. Now, I tell you what's embarrassing, someone having a go at someone for crying.
I agree.
We talk about men opening up and mental health and everything. I think Dr. Marco should take a long, hard look at his comments.
I agree.
6 debutantes, and you can imagine how much it would have meant. Your first ever Grand Prix.
I know.
Jack Doohan was saying he'd never driven an F1 car in the rain.
No, and he wouldn't have driven an F2 car much in the rain either, to be fair. I felt really sorry for Jack. He was a passenger, got on the white line, nothing he could do about that. I really felt sorry for Oscar Piastri. I know he's not a debutant, but that race could have been
There was a lot of
his.
expectation.
Have he thrown it into reverse quicker? I mean, there's a lot of people that have thrown out different videos and stuff like that so far since the race has finished.
Yes.
It's not easy to get a Formula One car into reverse. It's not like there's a stick shift and you just press down and put it in reverse.
What do you have to do?
Well, there's a whole complicated procedure involving switches and dials on the steering wheel. And in fact, I thought Oscar had great peace of mind and calmness. Can you imagine? You're second in the race.
Yes.
You're pushing for the lead, and now suddenly you're on the grass.
Everyone's watching.
Yeah, and your wheels are spinning, and it's like, oh my heavens, what's just happened? But I thought he was really calm, obviously because Jeremy Clarkson had told him how to reverse a tractor, and he'd been learning on that one. But he did a brilliant job of doing what Martin Brundle said he had to do, was reverse and treat it like a front-wheel drive car.
Yes.
Otherwise, he'd still be there now. To be honest, he'd never even make it to Shanghai. Absolute cruel luck, because the rain came down just at the wrong time as they were approaching a series of corners that are quite tricky at best of times. And obviously, Max could see it all unfolding because he's the car behind the McLarens. He benefited from that. But, Lando came in, changed his tyres. They got the call right with McLaren. Oscar obviously took a lap to get going again, still came home with some points. McLaren did a super job and have got to be favourites for Shanghai going forward on Sunday.
Crofty, obviously, what's the longest you've had to talk for one of these races, and how do you prepare?
Okay, so the longest ever was 4 hours and 4 minutes, and that was Canada 2011. Which
why was it so long?
Well, because there were lots of red flags, because of rain delays and crashes, and in those days it could go on that much longer. In fact, I actually had a bet on that race, and I'd completely forgotten. I'd put some money on Jenson Button to win, and he did.
Jenson Button, and
it was like 14-1. It was like the best bet ever. And I was sat with Karoon in the commentary box for so long I'd forgotten I'd had a bet. And I was just cold and tired and my voice had gone. And Kareem went, didn't you ever bet on this? Oh, yeah.
You've come
I'm in the money. Come on. We're going out to
Exactly.
celebrate. And came alive. So, but to prepare, Martin Brundle once told me that there's always something to talk about in Formula One. And there is. And look, if you guys sat in the studio for 4 hours and just talked without any music, you'd find a lot to talk about. And you do your notes, you do your research, you write it all down, and then you just free your mind and away you go. Just don't ever think too hard about what you're doing. Just
Sean nails that.
Yeah, let it come to you. I mean, your preparation for the sports bulletin was pretty amazing.
Amazing. You're blown away.
Yeah, well.
On the weekend, how long did you have to? Because there were lots of delays and things. How long were you on for?
So now we have 3 hours in which the race starts and everything has to be finished by. And
To get a result.
And if the clock stops, there's like a 2-hour window within that. But we were on air. I remember looking at the clock before the podium, and we'd already been talking for 1 hour and 55 minutes. So I'd probably say just over 2 hours we were talking for.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah, but that's like a Karoon and Crofty show from last night.
So how long were you on for last night?
Yeah, we went on air at 7 and came off at 9:45 and still felt that we had an awful lot to talk about, to be honest.
You said you were having a really, it was great
mega
fun.
We had 850 people in the Regal Theatre, and we had no real agenda. It's like, come on, let's just talk about what people want to talk about. And lots of laughs, lots of fun, bit of insight as well, and some interaction. One of my favourite bits of the show is when we get people up to do the commentary competition.
Yes.
And they realise our job is not that easy.
Yeah.
Because we can talk, you can talk for 5 seconds.
Yes.
And then you've got to think, right, okay, what am I going to say next and that? And
Also, you've got to describe what's actually happening.
Yes, that is very true, which people weren't doing very much in the competition. But we just love Formula One.
Yeah.
And there were 850 people that loved Formula One. And when you get all those people into a room for a night, it's a pretty cool experience. And look, we broadcast to a lot of people on a Sunday, but to do it live in front of people,
when you can see their faces.
I know.
Yeah.
I mean, look, today is an absolute blessing. I can see your
You can
faces.
see our faces. Not quite as good.
Well, no, to be fair, for someone else to get up at 4 a.m. every day, Nats.
Thanks, Crofty.
Yeah, you are, Nat.
On that compliment, we're going to get Crofty to stick around. We've got to get to the traffic where people are driving at speed, at the correct speed, of course.
At the correct speed, obey the lights at all times.
Just because you can hear David Croft's voice doesn't mean you should be driving
Mate, when the lights
faster,
go down, you're going to bang it. Come on.
Seriously, if you're near St George's Terrace and the lights are about to go green, it's lights out and away we go.
This is the Nathan, Nat and Shaun podcast.
Crofty, the one thing about the broadcasting team at Sky Sports is when you cross down to the paddock and everyone who's involved, they seem so knowledgeable, but it comes across really easily. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, no, but that's a real compliment. If that's the case, we try our best to cover everything and know everything. You're never going to know everything. Not in Formula One. There's too much secrecy going on. But I do think we have some great characters.
Yeah, you do.
On our team. Ted Kravitz. When Ted Kravitz starts speaking, the world stands still. It's the green light and away we go. And he's just full of theatre and drama.
Yes.
And then Martin Brundle is the doyen of Formula One broadcasting. He's been doing it longer than he was a driver, knows everybody, and that grid walk is something else. Simon, our presenter, Simon Lazenby, holds it all together in a way that only a non-F1 driver could do. He's there to ask the questions, not to have the opinion, same as me as a commentator. But we try very hard to be your friends in the paddock and bring you into the paddock with kind of fun, humour, knowledge and something a bit different.
Yeah, it works that way.
Can we ask, how did you get into it in the first place? Because you're not coming from it as a driver. No. You had no involvement in the sport previously.
Well, once upon a time I was Shawnee, without the battle scars from the and I was doing the sport on local radio.
Yeah, right.
And then I kind of...
So how local radio? What are we talking about?
Beds, Herts and Bucks, Bedfordshire, Hertfordshire, Buckinghamshire, Saturn, Luton, talking about Luton Town. I mean,
Luton Town. I used to love them in the FA Cup back in the day.
Yeah,
I always picked them as a team to go for.
They had like a giant killing run for quite a few years. They always beat my team, West Ham, so I didn't really like that.
Hammers, come on.
But I didn't want to do that forever. Got into national radio, and then I was in a bar in Vegas in 2005 with some friends of mine, one of who went, you should be an F1 commentator. commentator. And I went, oh, shut up.
Did you have any interest in F1 at this
bit.
point?
Just a little bit.
You know, like we all do. We will all watch it. We're quite keen on, some of the big players and that kind of thing.
I'm very much like yourself. Didn't always watch it, but when I did watch it, I liked it. And I just thought nothing of it. And he repeated it the next day when he'd sobered up. He happened to be the producer of Formula One for the BBC and said, come and audition, have a go. And so I had to make up a lap, opening lap in Monza, I think it was, off the top of my head as my audition, which took me back to when I was just a little lad, kicking a ball around in the backyard, pretending I was a football commentator.
Yes, for sure.
Riding my bike, pretending I was Murray Walker.
Yeah.
So I just kind of channeled the inner child, which I've been doing quite a bit since, to be fair, and somehow passed the audition. And I'm like, this is brilliant. I'm a Formula One commentator. Knew nothing.
That's amazing.
I spent months and months trying to research to be even a little bit acceptable, and I've spent the last 19 years doing very much the same. It's my 20th year now in F1.
That's
Unbelievable.
That is an amazing story. Sometimes
bad.
it's just about the right person being in front of the right person at the right time.
I think as well, if I can give
Or
anyone...
drinking in Vegas. I don't know what's the takeaway
I think
from
it's
that.
drinking in Vegas.
If I can give anyone any advice, go to Vegas, have a drink. And you never know what might come of it. But also, just find a way to say yes in life.
Yes.
Don't ever say no. Say yes, and you never know what might come of it.
Crofty, talking about extensive research, I did a little bit on you. Is it true that in a way you were part of a Coachella lineup because of a song you're involved in?
That is extensive research, yes.
Yeah.
IDK.
I got it.
You
Do
got
wanna hear
it?
Yep.
Go for it.
This is here.
If you want to be a rogue, the consequences pre-trial.
Just in the
If you
background.
want to be a pimp,
How did that come about?
Well, he got in touch with me.
Who is, and what's IDK? Do we know what IDK stands for?
I don't.
I
to be
don't know.
fair. He's got another name, so I was calling him that. No, he basically got in touch and said, look, I'm doing this concept album and I want to involve Formula One with rapping and kind of bits of jazz elements as well. And is there any chance...
At last.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, this is what I've always wanted to do. I'm a massive heavy metal fan, this wasn't my genre at all. And he called me into a studio and we just kind of freestyled a bit. So we did the lights out, but I think he edited that a bit too
tightly.
Sure, a bit too tight. That's the word I'm looking for. Thanks, Nats. It's early. And
Professional.
and then we did some like freestyle commentary where once again I had to make some stuff up.
Yes.
So if you go on the album and some of the lyrics are a bit explicit as well, so there's a warning there.
Yep.
Go on the album. There's a lot of my commentary on there, and at the moment I do a lot of live commentary, but then I'm also being asked to make stuff up.
Yeah.
Like for the Formula One game we do it, and for the F1 movie that's coming out as well, where Martin Brundle and myself are doing proper real live commentary to a Hollywood kind of setting,
wow.
which is really cool.
Yeah.
And we said to them, look, don't give us a script, just give us the synopsis.
yes.
Do you want some water there?
Sean,
Sean's
Sean's dying.
slightly dying. Are you going to be all right?
Give him some Coca-Cola.
Anytime. Just give us a synopsis and we will give you what we give you on air.
Yes.
And if you like it, brilliant. If not, we'll do another take. So when the movie comes out in the summer,
This one with Brad Pitt?
the one with Brad Pitt,
looks so good.
Martin Brundle and myself are all over
That's
it.
your movie stars as well. Has this ever happened to you where you've had a bit of a coughing fit and not been able to speak when you're in the middle of a race?
Coughing fit and laughing fit.
Yeah.
Laughing fits are the worst. And working...
Because you get the giggles and then you can't stop.
You can't stop, especially when you're working with your mates.
Yeah, of
And
course.
you're trying to be really, really serious.
Yeah.
And you're working with your mates and you just know that the minute you look at them, you're going to go again. Anthony Davidson is the worst for this.
Yeah.
He's a little tinker, is that boy. And will always try and make me laugh. So I get him back as well. What was it? We were in Japan last year. Ted was going on about bees and beehives. Because Sebastian Vettel brought some beehives for everyone to make in their first turn in Suzuka. There was nothing going on tracks. We were talking beehives. And picked up off Ted. I went, thanks, Ted. Brilliant stuff. I said, I got stung by a bee once. It was awful. He went, did you? I went, yeah, 50 quid for a jar of honey. Which is the worst gag going. But Ant found it really funny.
That was the end of him.
That was the end of him, completely.
Yeah, that's so good. All right, we're going to get you to stick around. It's now a hostage situation. David Croft is stuck with us.
It's not every day you come in here.
Barricade the doors.
We're opposite the Regal Theatre. Let me out, please.
The Nathan, Nat and Shaun podcast.
2 words, Revo Fitness. Here's a few more. Simple, 24/7, Reformer Pilates, body scanners, massage chairs, squat racks, free weights, pin and plate loaded equipment, no lock-in contracts, no bullshit. All of that and more from just $9.69 a week. That's surprisingly affordable. Join now at Revo Fitness Northbridge or download the Revo Fitness app. RevoFitness.com.au or find the Revo Fitness app in the App Store.
Dave, I just said to you before about you get to travel around the world and meet all these amazing people along the journey. And is there a few or that stand out that you've met, which is just like, oh my God, I've just met this person?
So you're
or they
meeting
wanted
heroes,
to meet
but
me.
they're excited to meet you.
So I don't do selfies very often.
Yeah.
I've done 3 selfies in my time. One was with Nicole Scherzinger when Lewis
yes.
won the title. She was
Pussycat Doll.
Pussycat Doll.
yeah, of course you have to.
She was lonely at the back of the garage. No
Yeah.
one was talking to her.
Yeah.
I felt I had to.
You had to.
One was with Vince Neil, the lead singer of Motley Crue, 'cause I'm a big Motley Crue fan. One was with Lars Ulrich, the drummer of Metallica.
Oh,
wow,
yes.
okay.
Come on.
And
Yeah, great.
I waited around for that one. But we talked about the F1 movie and Martin and I being in it. I'm the only person in the paddock who hasn't met Brad Pitt yet.
Oh, right.
So we were telling this story on stage last night. I'm like, I haven't met Brad Pitt. My wife has spent a day with Brad Pitt, showing him around and looking after him. But I'm yet to meet him. And Karun says, well, I've met him. I said, have you? He said, well, yeah, like you. I've been trying to look out for Brad Pitt, but I couldn't see him. And we were at Silverstone and finished the commentary and went to the toilet because, we've been on air for a couple of hours.
Mm-hmm.
And as I'm standing going for a wee, who should walk in but Brad Pitt
Into the toilet.
to stand next to Karun?
Midstream.
Midstream. Now, Ross, Sean.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know what it's like. You don't.
Eyes straight. Eyes
straight
forward.
ahead.
No matter what.
So I did ask Karun on stage, did you look down?
Yeah, a glance.
Got to.
Because it's Brad Pitt, right?
You got
Yeah.
to.
He didn't do it.
He did
You
it.
got to.
No, he did, but he didn't want to admit it.
Well, Nats, I think you've seen right through this one, to be fair. So, if you want to see Brad Pitt, hang around the toilets.
That's the answer.
That is the answer.
I mean, Sean has been hanging around the toilets a lot, so...
I have.
How's that working out for you so far?
Well, Ross actually was doing a gig. It was last summer, actually.
Oh, yeah.
Ross.
I used a toilet at Kings Park. It was backstage. Dean Lewis is performing. He does a lot of songs, Be All Right. And I was told I could use one of these VIP toilets. The only ones anyone can use in this section, big section. A lot of people went in there. Very nice. It's called a VIP toilet.
VIP toilet.
Yep. Came out, just did a wee, by the way. And opened the door. Dean Lewis is standing there. I love Dean Lewis. Big fan. And he's stone-faced at me. And he's like, it's not a big deal, but just so you know, that's my toilet.
But it's not a big deal.
Mortified.
Wow.
So I annoyed Dean Lewis by using a toilet.
See, you've made it big in life when you have your own throne.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, but like even Brad Pitt was sharing the toilet. You know what I mean? Dean Lewis, get over yourself.
Because he's a
please.
man of the people, Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
You're right.
Man, hey, Crofty, when you're doing the commentary, do you get fed? Do they bring in food for you? Do they bring in...
Do
Like
they
the
bring in
waiters with the
food?
cloches.
Yeah, halfway through we sit down for a 3-course meal. No, believe it or not, I eat a substantial breakfast with hash browns. Just advice to any hotelier out there: don't deviate from a hash brown at breakfast time. I don't want cubed potatoes. I don't want boiled potatoes, and I don't know what a potato rosti is, but I will have a hash brown. Thank you very much. So I have a bit of breakfast, and then I won't eat until later that evening because I just find if I'm eating beforehand, your mouth's never quite the same.
Yeah, sure.
Right, when you've had something to eat.
Yes.
Broadcasters who eat biscuits and then go on air, I don't know how you do it, quite frankly.
Yeah.
I see no biscuits in here. It's a picture of health. So, no, I won't.
That's right, athletes.
I won't do any food. Do you have food yourself before you go and do a Dockers game?
Well, I actually had some, the triangle sandwiches that they roll out. They cut the crusts off and all that kind of stuff.
Cut the crust. You are a big deal if they do that.
Yeah, isn't he just?
I was just there. Half of them were soggy, and I was pretty hungover from Saturday night, and I hadn't eaten much in the morning because I wasn't feeling great. So I thought I'd eat that, but I was concerned about that slowing me down.
Yeah. Don't do it. I mean, the fact that you've not got crust probably is okay.
Helps, yeah.
By the way, I know it's only a small thing, but cutting the crust off bread, doesn't it make you feel good?
Makes you feel valued.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in Japan, we're going to Japan soon.
Yes.
The sandwiches they sell in 7-Elevens and
yes.
stuff, no crust on them.
Yeah, that's right.
And my wife was like, "Can you bring some back?" I mean, what do you mean? Can I bring some back?
Week-old sandwiches. What is she?
Yeah, without crusts on, because she absolutely loves them. And I'm like, no, darling, just make your own sandwich
And cut the
without
crust off.
Cut the crust
no,
off.
but they're just so much nicer when
Oh,
someone else
bless
does
her.
it.
Hey, Crofty, Sean learned a valuable lesson at his first commentary appearance this weekend, just passed. Have you done it hungover?
Yes.
Okay, how does that go? And how much is it something you just do once, or have you not learned your lesson?
To be fair, it is something you do once, and I've never done it while I've been with Sky. But when I was on BBC Radio, we went to see Eminem in concert in Sao Paulo. And we had a brilliant
Sao
night.
Paulo,
Oh, it
wow.
was so good. And I got back to the hotel, and one of the team principals was at the bar, and he said, "Do you fancy a caipirinha?" And I'm like, "Yes," because I'm buzzing because I've been to a gig. Yeah, 7 caipirinhas later, it's 5 a.m. and I've got to be up at 7. And I actually fell asleep on the floor of the commentary box in between practice and qualifying.
Wow.
And Anthony Davidson, who was working with me then, actually kicked me so hard because I wouldn't wake up with being shouted at. He was actually kicking me. And I kind of got up, drained a can of Diet Coke, and then went straight on air. But it was painful.
Yeah.
I was commentating at about 20% volume.
Yes.
My head was killing me. Don't do it, guys.
Okay, that's a valuable lesson.
I've written that down.
It's the Nathan, Nat and Shaun podcast.
We were in the middle of a conversation. There wasn't even a pause, and that's just straight into, welcome back to Nova 93.7.
So Crofty's
Say 26 across Perth.
Yeah, Crofty just said, Ross is very impressive. He knows exactly what's going on. And then it's look over, we've got 4 seconds to go, bang, straight into it.
Yeah, well, that's the thing with these guys, they won't stop until the mics go on. Sometimes, and the things with Shaun, what he's saying like milliseconds before that mic goes red is
it's fraught with
career
danger,
Yes,
isn't
it is.
It's
You've
fraught
been
with
there,
danger.
mate.
Oh,
You
maybe
know.
I have.
Have you ever sworn on air?
No. Honestly, for someone, I do swear a little bit off air. I've never done that yet.
Yeah,
I'm
because
sure there will come a day.
because things are, happening. Obviously, Oscar Piastri's spinning out and going off.
Exactly.
The rest of the country swore at that moment.
Oh, my God, yes.
So the fact that you don't is testament to how professional you are.
When I was watching the Azerbaijan Grand Prix last year,
Yes.
and Carlos Sainz and Sergio Perez crashed, and I was at home on my couch commentating to myself, I did swear then because I could see it coming, and then there was a big exclamation. In fact, very nearly swore on the Ricky, Tim, and Joel show.
Oh, did you? Yeah,
We
right.
were playing Quick Draw.
Yes.
Oh,
Quick Draw.
yes, yeah.
It was what was it? Name a word beginning with F that you would shout out, and I went, for heaven's sake!
Say.
They were baiting you. That's
They
what
were
was going
baiting
on
me
there.
properly.
Yeah, you nailed it.
I beat her.
Oh,
Of course you did.
I'm quite pleased about that.
Yeah.
Ricky's really competitive.
She is.
really
Yeah,
good.
that's right.
There
That's
was
right.
Daggers across the
Yeah,
table.
yeah.
Crofty, being in the motorsport industry, if you wanted to get your hands on a Ferrari, if you could afford to get one, could you?
Get a staff discount.
Yes. And who can I ring?
Well, as you're sponsored by the fuel provider for Ferrari,
Yeah,
I'm going to
that's
see
right.
them
Yeah,
first,
yeah,
to be
yeah.
honest. You can buy old Formula One cars. In fact, Bernie Eccleston has just sold part of his car collection. He has others,
Yes.
but there's a lot of cars, and I don't know how many. It's at least 50. Now, it's going to cost you a bit, and
The fuel's going to cost you a bit.
The
I take
fuel's
it.
gonna cost you a
You're
bit.
not putting unleaded in it. I take
You
it.
wouldn't just.
these are cars from yesteryear and modern day, and
Yeah.
they went for about $500 million.
Oh, my God, Father.
So he had a fire sale. Did he need the money or?
Oh,
Fire sales, probably not the word. What words in that?
Put it this way, the tax inspectorate in the UK have been asking Mr. E to pay them some money.
Okay, right.
So there might have been a
Did that cover
coincidence.
it or?
I would hope so. I really would.
What's he worth these days?
Bernie, about $500 million more than he was last week. I don't know. Do you know what? Next time I'll ask him.
Yeah.
And
So
then,
Sean wants to know.
And then I'll come and work with you on the Aussie rules because I won't have a job. Some things are just not worth talking about.
Do any of the drivers these days and teams, do they have their own private planes?
Yeah, Max has just got a new one, actually.
Did he?
Oh.
Yeah, Max
Tell
has
me.
just taken delivery of a new one. Lando Norris flies Max Air, so they kind of go together.
Max there.
But a lot of the drivers kind of club together
Yes.
and they will all go on a private jet
They'll
to certain
carpool.
races. And I can understand it, that it is way more convenient and they can all go together and you avoid situations like Alex Albon had at Melbourne Airport yesterday, where I'm led to believe that he was late for his plane and the woman on the tannoy was announcing to the entirety at Melbourne Airport, Alex Albon, your plane is about to depart, please come and get on your plane. It's
So
not-
then everybody knows he's there.
yeah, not good for an F1 driver to be slow now, is it?
No.
So we won't be taking the Mickey out of Alex Albon at all.
No,
when we get to
no,
China.
I imagine. Yeah. So Shanghai's next.
Shanghai is next, sprint weekend, so it's a bit of a change around, and then we're home. Then I go to Vegas for a day, as I was saying, which is ridiculous. And then it's Japan and Bahrain and Saudi. And before we know it, we'll be 5 races down and
Yes.
over a fifth of the season will have gone
Incredible.
I mean, obviously Australia's a favourite, but what's your second favourite of all of the races?
by. Okay, it in terms of
We can
racing...
put a line
You gotta
through
say
Brazil
Silverstone.
after
No.
Sao Paulo.
Silverstone's my favourite.
Yeah.
because
Of course.
it's the home of the
Yes.
F1 World Championship. I think it's the best track.
Yep.
And I love it. Austin is a magnificent race to go to. If anyone is ever thinking about, do I do a big flyaway race, go to Austin.
It's a fun town too,
It's a
Austin, isn't it?
sensational
Yeah.
city. If you like beer, if you like steaks, if you like F1 and you love music,
Yep.
Austin's a place to go. There is something about me that, as a lad from Stevenage who didn't, grow up in the finest place in the world, standing on a super yacht in Monaco is quite nice.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
yes.
is
And that's such a
pretty fun.
classic.
That's
you know,
amazing.
Yeah.
And I would never want to see Monaco disappear because
Yes.
Monaco without, Formula One without Monaco, it's like this show without Nathan, isn't it? Really?
Yeah.
Flourishing. No.
No, Ross is now looking at me. Going,
Yeah.
You absolute
I'm only
moron.
joking.
No, there's something
need it.
missing if
Yeah.
Monaco isn't there because these cars are not designed to be racing around the streets of Monaco.
Yeah.
Might not be the most exciting race ever, but something can happen in any split second.
Yeah. And we love Monaco because Danny Rick did actually win there.
Well, Mark Webber was very successful all the time there.
Yeah.
Mark Webber was.
Yeah.
It's such a difficult place to pass. If you can muscle
Yes.
your way into the lead, away you go. It's fabulous.
Yeah.
But, Vegas is a great race as well. Brilliant for you guys here in Perth
Yep.
because it's on at a much better time of day.
Yeah.
And I like the fact that there are more and more races now where the dedicated fans of Australia don't have to stay up every night in the middle of the night.
That's a bit of a
to go
bonus,
and
isn't
watch
it? Yeah, so it's spread through all of the time zones. Yeah,
it's
that's
a world
great.
championship. But on that subject, we should be in Africa. We're not on the African
okay.
continent. We should be. We are a world championship.
So where
That
do you
needs to
think it would
change.
be?
Well,
So
South Africa,
Cape Town or somewhere?
Cape Town wants a street race.
Yep.
Kyalami is a Grade 1 circuit. Rwanda have expressed an interest
Yep.
as well. We should be moving heaven and earth to be on the African continent.
something
because
like
we're not.
Marrakesh would be amazing too, wouldn't
hello.
it? Can you imagine?
Marrakesh.
I
Yeah.
know nothing about Marrakesh.
So Morocco, it's it's an incredible city.
Hippie
it's
vibe.
crazy.
Yeah.
It's, the square in Marrakesh will blow your mind, like literal snake charmers and people with monkeys on their heads and everything. It's just got
Awesome.
everything. Yeah, bring that
People with
on.
monkeys on their heads.
That is everything.
That is everything now.
It's everything you've ever
We're
wanted.
going to Marrakesh, Nat.
I know, let's bring it on. Crofty, thank you so much.
Thank
It's
you,
been an
David.
absolute joy having
had a
you, and you
great
are
morning.
welcome anytime.
Aw.
And if you could just continue to give Sean a bit of feedback about his sports reading, that'd be terrific, and take it on board, I'm sure.
When's your next sports bulletin?
About a minute.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
2
I'll
minutes
do it
from
for
now.
you.
This is the Nathan, Nat and Sean podcast.
Sean, what's it like watching a professional do your job?
Amazing. We were
Well
sitting
done.
there with we had our boss Dave who was around, and our big boss BT was in town, and he just told me
He fired
he's
you.
let me go. So
So you work
it's been
there
an
now,
interesting
Crofty.
day.
Everyone deserves a second chance.
Oh, thank you.
And I've got to get on a plane. Sean,
Sean-
your job's safe.
Sean does have some feedback for you, though.
Alex Demonor.
Oh, did I get it
How
wrong?
embarrassing. Should have read it beforehand.
I should have read it before. Should have known what I was
Failures
talking about.
feedback.
And he should have been in the top 10, then I'd have
He
heard of
should
it.
have. He should have.
Exactly.
actually. Call it
He
out.
was, but yeah. In fact, his partner is an English girl.
Really?
So, Katie, tennis player. What's her name?
Don't look at me.
Katie Bolter.
All right.
Oh, well
Yeah.
done. Well done.
Yeah.
Well done,
Yeah.
That was
Alex.
epic,
Someone who
Crofty.
watches tennis.
Yeah, you're like, I don't know,
don't.
tennis. They don't go fast enough.
Exactly.
Crofty, thank you.
It's
You know
been a
you've got a
pleasure.
job here
Been a
any
pleasure.
day.
Thank
So
you,
we'll
guys.
see you again
It is
soon, I'm
lights
sure.
out and away I go.
Thank you.
Breakfast.
Nathan, Nat and Sean is a Nova podcast. For more great comedy shows like this, head to novapodcasts.com.au.
2 words, Revo Fitness. Here's a few more. Simple, 24/7, Reformer Pilates, body scanners, massage chairs, squat racks, free weights, pin and plate loaded equipment, no lock-in contracts, no bullshit. All of that and more from just $9.69 a week. That's surprisingly affordable. Join now at Revo Fitness Inaloo or download the Revo Fitness app. RevoFitness.com.au or find the Revo Fitness app in the App Store.